Los Angeles Angels. In his Major League debut, Ethan Pecco gave the Astros 3 2/3 innings on the mound, giving up 2 runs with 3 walks and 4 strikeouts. Game 3 between the Astros and the Angels will be tonight at 7:10 p.m. at Daikin Park, and you can listen to it right here on ESPN, 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Week 2 of the NFL preseason begins tonight with 2 games taking place. At 7 p.m., the Oakland Raiders travel to Houston to take on the Texans. The Raiders are favored by 1.5, and kickoff is at 7 p.m. Then in the late kick, it's an all-California matchup between the visiting San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Chargers. San Francisco is a 1.5-point favorite, and kickoff is at 9 p.m. tonight in L.A. The BMW Championship begins play today from Belle Reve Country Club in St. Louis, Missouri. The tournament is the second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs, and at the conclusion of the event, the top 30 in the FedEx Cup standings will move on to East Lake Golf Club in Atlanta for the Tour Championship next weekend. Once again, Scotty Scheffler is the betting favorite at plus 310, and he'll tee off at 1:33 Central Time. The Louisiana judge has granted former LSU Tiger Jack Pyburn and 15 other players a temporary restraining order against the NCAA, allowing them to return to school and seek another year of college eligibility. The players' argument is that they're being denied the same opportunity given to future athletes under the NCAA's new eligibility rules. I'm Blake Purser, and you're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Dawson Iserloh prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN, 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
We welcome you into the LohDown, ESPN, Southwest Louisiana sports station. It is a Thursday edition of the show, and we are hanging out, of course, here in the Beal and Hebert studios in Upper Lafayette. We got an interesting Thursday show for you. We're going to do things a little bit differently here. I am going to start us off. We'll do Locked In as normal. We'll have a normal start to each hour. But look, our Hall of Fame experience was second to none. We talked a lot about it. Our conversations about Drew Brees, about the Hall of Fame induction, getting to share some of our experiences while we were there, some of the surprise guests we had. I mean, it was just all a really incredible experience. So I want to run some of those back for you today. So we will be playing some of my favorite interviews from the Hall of Fame weekend as each hour goes on. James Mesh will hit you with a poll question update to close out each hour, and that'll get us to the finish line here on a Thursday edition of the show. So a lot to get to, as I mentioned, and we'll do it in the first segment of each hour with original stuff that hasn't been played yet. But it is an interesting time. As we've said, we just crawl closer and closer to the start of football season. You've got high school football scrimmages getting going today. That'll be happening throughout the rest of the weekend. Of course, jamborees next week, and then, man, we'll be kicking off the regular season. Plenty of high school football, by the way, on the Delta Media family of stations, even a couple of new additions excited to tell you about as well. So with all that being said, as I mentioned, plenty to get to, plenty to discuss. I'm going to go around the horn a little bit. We're not going to focus on one thing for Locked In. We're just going to discuss some of the top stories of the day in my mind. So without further ado, let's do it. Let's get locked in.
D-Loh is the kind of guy that stays locked in. On what? Well, that depends on the night. But you can guarantee there was some sporting event that he found interesting. It's time to find out what D-Loh was locked in on the LohDown.
I talked about this a little bit yesterday. It's actually where we started yesterday's show. I did not expect to watch a ton of Little League World Series. Without a Louisiana team in the mix, without, some sort of significant connection for something I knew about going into it, I figured, I'll have it on, but we probably won't talk about it. And then all kinds of fascinating things happened yesterday. So I just want to highlight the three. First off, Nicaragua beat Dominican Republic 2-1 in the opening game. That was the left-hander I told you about that was throwing 75 miles an hour from the left side. Yeah, Pichardo, he was unbelievable. They held on for a 2-1 win. He then went out and played right field. So if you missed this yesterday, left-hander starting for Nicaragua. strikes out 13 hitters, gets the first, 5 2/3 innings pitched in this ball game, hits his pitch count limit, so they put him in right field. The tying runs on second base hit to right, it's 2-1, and he hoses the guy at the plate. So after striking out 13 on the mound, he goes out to right field and throws out the potential game-tying run, and Nicaragua beats Dominican Republic 2-1 in their first game of the Little League World Series. It was everybody's first game, by the way. Then in the second game, significant because Phoenix City, Alabama was throwing a girl out there. There's only been a handful of girls that have ever played in the Little League World Series. There's certainly only been a handful that have struck out a bunch of batters like she did. Actually, the niece of Colby Rasmus, Kinley Rasmus, was out there dealing, had an outstanding outing. But unfortunately for her team, they couldn't get anything going on offense. They did not score in this game. It went to extras. They only play 6 in the Little League. It went to the 7th. Tacoma, Washington got 2 runs in the 7th, and they beat Alabama 2-0. So despite a great outing from the young lady for Alabama, they are 0-1, and Tacoma, Washington moves themselves into the winner's bracket. I actually don't have anything for you on Korea against Vancouver other than that the Korean teams usually can always pitch and play defense, and they did that again. 7-0 shutout. They beat Canada. But I do have something for you from the nightcap. Bayonne, New Jersey against Bridgewater, Massachusetts. Another low-scoring competitive game. And then it ended up being a walk-off home run for New Jersey. But a ball that I have to describe to you was really just blasted into the night sky. This thing was so much a no-doubter, and they play with the 225-foot fences. Mason Rincon hit a complete, no-doubt, moonshot over the center field wall, all the way up over the berm and into the foresty area in deep center field. So the first day of the Little League World Series, saw a kid strike out 13 and then throw out the game-tying run in right field. Saw a girl get up there and do what only a couple girls in Little League World Series history have done, striking out the number of batters she did. And then saw a no-doubt moonshot walk-off home run to close night number 1. So I ended up being locked in on 3 of these 4 games when I really never expected to do so at all. Today, by the way, you've got 4 more games. Obviously, they're going to keep these things rolling. The Southwest region is represented by Bern, Texas, by the way, with Louisiana losing in the regional final there. So the Texas team did get in. That was the one that was all controversial because Oklahoma had some lawsuits that said they were going to be eligible after they had a player ruled ineligible, which disqualified them from the regional tournament. Their decisions didn't hold up. Little League won that appeal process, I guess you could say it, and Texas is the team that's representing the Southwest region. Okay, from one baseball story, we go to another, the Houston Astros last night. What I liked about last night's game, and I had coverage for you on the website, ESPNSouthwestLouisiana.com, I love Major League debuts, and I also love hometown TV broadcasts because they can focus and lean in on stuff like this. Yesterday's broadcast on TV, not only did they broadcast from the Crawford boxes in left field, which is always a unique thing they do, I think, once a year with Blummer and Todd Callis, it was also Ethan Pecco's debut. And Pecco, highly drafted player out of Towson. They do like this kid. I don't think he's maybe, if all had went to plan this year, I don't think Pecco would have seen a big league mound. But you know what? Astros are in dire need. He was their 17th starter to make an appearance yesterday, or to make a start, which apparently is up there tying a new franchise record with the Stros. So certainly they've had to use more arms on that mound to start games than they expected to. But Pecco was solid. He gives you 3 2/3 innings, which the goal was probably 4. So to give you 3 2/3, nothing huge to complain about there. Gave up 2 runs, but despite facing this Urania kid, by the way, for the Angels, throwing 100-mile-an-hour fastballs, got a wipeout slider. He is special. His numbers are great. But the Astros got to him a little bit. Christian Vasquez hit a solo shot into the Crawford boxes that almost killed Todd Callis and Jeff Blum. Thankfully, those two are all right. Then there was a controversial play, by the way, where the Angels hit a ball towards the Crawford boxes, and a fan reached over and actually made a pretty nice catch on the ball, but it was classic fan interference. And instead of putting the runners at second and third, which I think is what we all thought was going to happen, the umpires deemed that they thought the runner would have scored from first base on this play. So the batter gets put at second, but both runs are allowed to score. They were at first and second to start the play. Astros were not happy about it at all. Joe Espada had already been tossed from this game for arguing a check swing play where Mike Trout got hit on the hand, and Espada thought he should have appealed down to first base. So it was just a chaotic night at Dyken Park, but those 2 runs score. Didn't matter, though. The Astros got back to work. Altuve RBI double, Cam Smith sac fly, and then The bullpen throws 5 1/3 shutout innings. That's what happened for the Houston Astros. You had 5 different arms team up to do it. Bennett Sousa got 4 outs. The next 4 guys all got 3 outs. Josh Hader stays perfect on save ops. And the Astros get an important win. Kevin and I discussed this a little bit yesterday. Man, they needed to get this one because they have been struggling, and the Rangers are not going away in the division. You're going to have to win games down the stretch if you want to be a part of the playoffs, if you want to win the American League West and get everything set up and in the right direction for the postseason. So this was a big one for the Astros to grab, and they did it. They get back up over 500, albeit by 1 game, 64 up, 63 down. They conclude that series. By the way, no daytime baseball for you today, despite it being a Thursday. They're going to play another 7:10 first pitch, a night game inside Daikin Park for the Astros, by the way. With that, seemingly thin pitching staff trying to just get through one night or the other. The bullpen was heavily used yesterday, so they're going to ask their season beginning to season end, their most consistent pitcher, Peter Lambert. They're going to ask him to potentially get them deep into this ballgame. And they're going to face Grayson Rodriguez, who has just not had a good season at all for the Angels. ERA up over 7. The Astros saw him a couple weeks back as well. So they'll get another shot at Grayson Rodriguez. The division lead is 2 games. The Rangers lost last night, so it is a 2-game division lead for the Stros. But Texas right there in the rearview mirror. Seattle is now 4 games back. They did win yesterday. Seattle lost 22-0 on Tuesday. They came back and won a 7-5 nail-biter against the Brewers yesterday. So there you go. Now you're caught up on the Astros. The last thing I'll mention here today on the Locked In segment, I also recognize this is a fully evolving situation, so things are going to be changing by the minute on it. But Buccaneers edge rusher Jack Pyburn has been granted a 5th year of eligibility, at least in the form of a temporary restraining order. TRO, it's a 3-letter acronym that I never cared to know a ton about until recently. College athletics, apparently TROs are now the most important things. Used to need to know acronyms like SOS for strength of schedule, maybe NCAA. Oh, what does that mean? Yep, National Collegiate Athletic Association. Now TRO is a pretty big one. That's temporary restraining order. Here's the interesting thing. You might be hearing Jack Pyburn. I know that name, right? Didn't he play for LSU last year? You'd be correct. Well, he is a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Matter of fact, he had a pretty big preseason game last week. Actually grabbed 2 sacks. Looking good in the preseason. Maybe grab a roster spot for those Bucs. They had the whole Vita Vea controversy on the defensive line. They just did get Vita Vea back, by the way. A 1-year, $30 million deal. But this lawsuit that was filed a while back has now gotten the TRO, which means, at least as of now, Jack Pyburn is eligible to play college football for LSU this year. And apparently, via our guy Matt Moscona, LouisianaSports.net, there has been some contact here. And Pyburn is reportedly interested in returning to LSU. So his rookie minimum salary would be $885,000. LSU would obviously have to pay up here if they want Pyburn back, and they reportedly also already had a $50 million roster in the first place. You're also talking about bringing a guy into the fold who has not participated in spring practice with you, has not participated in fall camp to this point. Now, Pyburn's situation a little different than some of the other players who were requesting eligibility because he's in shape. He's been practicing with an NFL training camp. So that part of it's not a big concern. This is one of those things that just makes it really kind of frustrating, I think, if you're a fan of college athletics. And this is not the same thing as being an old man yelling at clouds about traditionalism and not wanting things to change ever, right? I think we can recognize that this is one of those moments, and it's not specifically about Pyburn, it's not specifically about LSU. And I do think Moscona's made some pretty well-intentioned points about the fact that this is about the adults in the room who don't want to lose leverage on their situation and only want to worry about their cause. So college coaches worrying about their teams winning games, the NCAA worrying about whatever they worry about these days. And then, of course, NIL and all these structures that just never had enough substance to them, never had any guidelines, any rules. There was no bumpers. We just had the gutters wide open and for everybody to swing through. And so this is one of those moments where I would love it if the cooler heads would prevail and we would go, wait a minute, that guy who's got an opportunity on an NFL roster to play in professional football games like in 2 weeks, should he all of a sudden be able to put on the 3 letters over the Tiger logo on the side of his helmet and be competing against South Carolina and Alabama in the next few months? No, that probably shouldn't be allowed, okay? And so, as I said, this is not a Pyburn argument. This is not an LSU argument. These players who are in NFL training camps should not be granted extra eligibility, man. It's just, I think, a pretty fair and reasonable way to look at things, especially given these players who have these promises of money, because a lot of these eligibility arguments, and that's why I'm interested about this one. It is a temporary restraining order. It doesn't mean that it's fully done with, right? There's going to be appeals. There's going to be other court cases heard. But in a lot of situations, the argument held for these eligibility arguments in the NIL era has been the potential of missing out on life-changing money, right? And that's when a lot of these players have gotten their eligibility back, is saying, hey, I have an opportunity to make money that's not otherwise going to be an opportunity for me in the rest of my lifetime. You can't take that away from me as a higher, entity. That's not the situation with the guys who are on NFL rosters, right? They have NFL contracts that are signed. Now, not all of them are guaranteed to make the team that wherever they are. So I guess you can understand that there's caveats into all this. But this is just and look, if I'm LSU and I'm Kiffin, I understand that Kiffin and a lot of these college coaches are taking the approach of, you know what, forget classic team building regimens or plans. We're not worried about that. We're trying to build the most talented roster possible so we have the best chance to win football games. But I also just think and go about those guys that have been grinding in the locker room. We already talk about how difficult it is to build camaraderie when you're bringing in a bunch of players in the transfer portal. So I'm going to be careful here. I'm not sitting here saying that LSU would be a worse football team if Jack Pyburn comes back, because the dude's a really, really talented edge rusher who's, already proven that he's good enough to play on Sundays. But I do think there's a little bit something about those guys who just came in as edge rushers that want to be the guy on this LSU team. What about those guys in the defensive line room that have been grinding with their teammates in the weight room all day, every day this summer and now into fall camp? Are they going to be super excited to see a superstar who's been playing in NFL training camp in Tampa Bay just show up and take half their reps away from them? This is a delicate situation, I think, regardless of how it goes. Now, I know this has happened in basketball. You've had players get eligibility late. You've had players get added to the roster. You've even had semester ads, right, in the world of college hoops where guys have been gotten eligible January 1. But this is just a little bit more delicate of a situation, I think, than it maybe appears it to be on the surface. So who knows what's going to happen here. But that was a fascinating development out of yesterday as well. All right, I'll do this. We'll take a break. As I said before, I want to play some of my favorite interviews going back to the Pro Football Hall of Fame experience that we had. First off, how about a Saints legend? We had a chance to sit down with Willie Roaf, Saints Hall of Famer, NFL Hall of Famer who played for the Saints. Our conversation with Willie Roaf from the Hall of Fame after this.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
The Gaydon Duck Festival returns August 27th through the 30th. The festival highlights the hunting heritage of the Acadiana region and offers great entertainment with its duck and goose calling contest, skeet shooting, dog trials, duck dash, and decoy carving. In addition to great food and drinks, there'll be a variety of musical acts performing, including Wayne Toops of Zyda Cajun, Gino Delafosse and French Rockin' Boogie, and Tracy Bird. Make sure to head down to the Duck Capital of America for the Gaydon Duck Festival. Visit www.duckfestival.org today.
ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is your home for the Houston Astros.
And the Astros stun the Mariners.
Hunter Brown, Yordan Alvarez, and the rest of the Astros are looking to get back to the postseason. You can listen to every pitch, hit, and thrilling victory of the Houston Astros.
Incredible!
As Robert Ford and Steve Sparks will be on the call. Tune in this season for live Astros baseball on Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Around Acadiana, community means supporting the businesses that make our hometown special. That's why we're proud to spotlight local companies that are certified South Louisiana.
Delta Home Center and Delta Trailer Sales, your one-stop shop for utility and cargo trailers. Heavy-duty dump and gooseneck trailers, portable buildings, cabins, decks, porches, fences, carports, and site-built metal shops. Located at Exit 7 in Carencro or at deltatrailersales.com.
When you support local businesses, you strengthen the communities we call home. Shop local, support local. Certified South Louisiana. Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer, no chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3 gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler, or even single serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then contact us tab, or 337-519-3563.
Looking for a great midweek treat? Come to Mezcal Mexican Restaurant every Wednesday and Thursday and enjoy their sizzling fajita special. $13.99 plus tax all day long. Don't forget all day 2-for-1 margaritas. Are you planning a large party? Let Mezcal handle it. Call 337-484-3298 and Mezcal will take care of everything. That's a fajita special, $13.99 plus tax all day Wednesday and Thursday at Mezcal Mexican Restaurant, 3546 Ambassador Caffrey, next to Rooms to Go. Come taste the flavor of Mezcal.
If you owe the IRS back taxes, you need the best team on your side. Priority Tax Relief has helped thousands of Americans resolve their IRS problems and settle for pennies on the dollar. As a leading tax resolution firm, we have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, hundreds of 5-star reviews, and a 4.9-star rating on Google because we deliver results and huge savings. If you owe $5,000 or more and even facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or IRS letters, call us today at 800-647-1285. Once you call, our tax professionals will call the IRS with you for free, and within minutes, start negotiating a settlement. We'll put a stop to collections and fight to get you the best settlement possible. Choose the company Americans trust most. Call Priority Tax Relief now at 800-647-1285 to see what relief you qualify for. Don't wait. Make the call. Dial 800-647-1285. Once again, that's 800-647-1285.
19 straight completions now for Drew Brees. That ties his career high in a game. But I think he's searching for another mighty mark. Will he get it here? Yes!
He helped inspire Who Dat Nation to believe in their team again proudly. Now he receives his bronze bust. Congrats, Drew. This is the gold standard. Presented by Beal and Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers.
From one Pro Football Hall of Fame offensive lineman to another. He was a consensus All-American at Louisiana Tech, first-round draft pick of the New Orleans Saints back in 1993. He would go on to become an 11-time Pro Bowler, 9-time All-Pro. He was named to the All-Decades team for both the 1990s and the 2000s. He's in the Saints Hall of Fame, Saints Ring of Honor, Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, and, of course, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's our privilege to welcome back Mr. Willie Roaf. Willie, thank you for making the time, brother.
Oh, man, thank you for having me, man. It's been a whirlwind for the last day, and I'm looking forward to that gold jacket ceremony and seeing Mr. Brees put that jacket on and joining the club of us, man. It's special.
What does it mean for you to have another member of the Who Dat Nation, someone that proudly wore the black and gold like you did, like Morton Anderson did, like Ricky did, like Sam did?
Yeah.
What does it mean to see another one of that kind of fraternity joining the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
It means the Saints have made a lot of strides. You have a ring, and you have 5 guys now in the Hall of Fame, and potentially a couple more, Jahari, Cam.
Yeah.
Obviously, we talked with Jim Porter. They're going to change the criteria. They're adding a different wrinkle with some voters, I think. I don't know. So hopefully in the next, whenever Cam retires and Jahari, we have a couple more guys joining the group in the next 10 years.
We saw you kind of interact this morning at the Raising Cane's event that Drew was at, and you and Morton and Ricky were there. And there just seems to be like this brotherhood of not only – y'all played for the Saints, but y'all are also inducted here. Like, you guys have a gold jacket. What is that fraternity like, and how does it feel once you join it?
Whoa, it's very special. It's we just finished the luncheon, and guys get up and really try to let the guys going in know how special it is. And Jerome Bettis got up there and said something. Your classmates who you go in with, that's your group for all time. So, to develop those bonds with each other and get to know each other. I was fortunate enough to go in with a real blue-collar class. Sadly, Jack Butler was about 80 when he got in. He transitioned. Chris Dolman had brain cancer, which is it's bad. It's a bad one now.
Yeah.
And he transitioned. and Cortez, who was very tight with Mickey Loomis, transitioned as well. So 3 of my guys aren't here, but Domani's back this year. Curtis, I don't think has ever missed. We missed the COVID year, but we try to make it back every year. And Bobby Bell this year made 43 consecutive years he has not missed the Hall of Fame.
It tells you what how much this means to the Hall of Famers. You know, was there a point early in your career, whether you were in college at Tech or when you were starting to develop as one of the premier tackles in the NFL early in your career, would you ever have a moment where you're like, man, one day I'm going to be in Canton, or was that just never on your radar?
To be honest with you, I left high school at about 2:30. So, I was trying to play basketball too. But I started playing football in the 4th grade. My dad played at Michigan State with a few Herb Adderley, a couple guys that are in here in the Hall of Fame. And he never got a chance to play. He hurt his knee. So it wasn't until I got to college and I started really developing and I was real athletic that I knew I would have a chance to get a pro. So it's a progression. And then when I got in the pros and after the 90s when I made that all-decade team was when I kind of figured, if I keep doing this, and when I went to about 5, 6 Pro Bowls in a row, I said I might have a chance to get to Canton. And, coming in with Ricky, Sam, Vaughn, Dalton Hilliard, Eric Martin, Jim Rink, Frank Warren, with those Hobie Brenner, those veterans, Dombrowski. I mean, we just, I had a bunch of vets. I mean, they were transitioning because I'm the only Louisiana player ever drafted by the Saints in the first round from Louisiana Tech. They've never drafted anybody from LSU in the first round, and sorry for LSU fans, but I would just put that out there. But they were transitioning. Finks drafted me, and he got sick, so I never got a chance to meet the man that drafted me. He, got lung cancer.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I never got a chance to meet Finks. He got sick and went to the hospital, and was battling. And then the problem was when he died, it was GM by committee, so it was Mora, Kuharic, 2 or 3 guys trying to run a team, and that's when Moore started making the decision, getting rid of some guys that probably should, Wesley Wall shouldn't have got.
Oh.
Obviously, Sam left and made All-Pro with Carolina. Who else? We let a few guys go.
Ricky left and went.
Morton Anderson shouldn't have gone anywhere. He beat us, kicked 3 field goals the next year to beat us. But so yeah, we got some guys that could have retired as Saints, and it is what it is. Now looking back on it, and I'm just glad even through those tough years, I was able to give the city some pride and be able to consistently go to the Pro Bowl and had a lot of respect in the city. And we finally got that playoff win in 2000 with Hazlitt. And, before I left the next year, it was the knee. And then I was on to finish it up.
What did the Saints fans mean to you? And, obviously they embraced you and they still love you to this day.
Oh,
What's that bond like with the Who Dat Nation?
They traded Swilling to get me. I was a Louisiana Tech guy, so people thought I was from New Orleans or Louisiana. So it just was a bond that we had as soon as I got there. And, my deal was from the guy that comes with the garbage truck, my yard guy would get tickets to the game. They could come in my house. So I think that's why they could relate to me wherever I went. I just was Willie, and everybody felt like I was part of their family, and they could just come up to me like we do here. And, the fans are excited to see me again. And I haven't played in New Orleans in, 20-some years, since 2001. But just to get the love and admiration I get from the fans, let me know I did some good things on and off the field. Let's say that.
Willie Roaf is our guest, the Pro Football Hall of Famer, New Orleans Saints legend. Willie, I wanted to ask you that. You talked about now the opportunity to let Drew have his moment today, but what was that like for you when Drew got here and obviously knowing what the city was going through and as Sean and Drew started to build this thing, what was that like from your perspective?
It was exciting because when Sean got there, nobody knew how great a coach he was going to be. He was in Dallas. I don't know if he's a coordinator or offensive assistant. I know he was in Dallas because we played him in 2005. And I knew how good Drew was because in Kansas City I was battling with the Chargers with Drew for the last 4 years of my career. So, they had Damian and Gates, a couple of Hall of Famers here. And LohDown, who I got drafted with in New Orleans. So I knew Drew, and nobody knew. With the shoulder, nobody knew. When he popped that shoulder, and it was a blessing, the situation, which, Nick Saban almost got him in Miami. He was going to Miami, but they were worried about the physical with the shoulder. So I think that was a match made in heaven. I think it was meant to be, and to bring some happiness to New Orleans. And Drew has always been a class act. And like I said, it's, the greatest Saints player. I mean, what did he throw for 5,000 yards some seasons? 50 touchdowns. What Drew was doing was, and Drew was another guy. I had a chip on my shoulder going to a small school. I always had something to prove. Drew went to Purdue. Texas didn't recruit him. He's from Austin. Had to go up there and play football. Then he went to the Chargers. Then they got rid of him for Phillip. So Drew always had that chip on his shoulder, and Drew always played football with a purpose. And when you put that combination with that intellect and the most accurate quarterback in NFL history together, you end up with him being the first ballot Hall of Famer.
I want to ask you about offensive line play, if that's okay with you. Not to go two X's and O's with you. We just talked with Kevin Mawai. I've been hearing too recent years some linemen talking about kind of where the game has started to fail linemen in development and what it was. There is a little bit of a renaissance of the running game right now. When you watch today's NFL offensive linemen and the way offenses are being run, is it a situation you go, they're not doing it right, they're not developing them right, or do you just think it's the next level of football? What do you make of it?
What happened was they started with all that spread offense, all the RPO stuff, right? So it's the run pass option. So we were talking about this. We're hanging at the hotel. Offensive line play and has slacking. I don't think they hit the sled as much. We practice the sled. We practice pad position. We practice explosion. We ran the ball with a purpose. We would practice to drive. You had to get in the shoot when I came through. And you got in that shoot, when you hit that dummy, if you raised up, your head was, you were getting stuck in the shoot. So you had to practice these skill sets to be able to run the football. And I just don't think they can't train as much, and they don't stay in camp like we did as long. They can't put the pads on as long. So they're basically getting better at football as the season goes on, where we had to put 5 weeks at camp through, and we were hitting a lot to get ready. So I think that's hurting it, and all the position blocking and RPO stuff. But you got to get back to the basics. Guys in the offseason have to be able to implement hip explosion, coming off the football, using your hands. A lot of guys, they do a lot more grabbing now than punching. And, it's hard. It's a hard give and take because of how much they can do. And then what drills are – they can't be on the practice field long. What drills is the coach going to emphasize in the practice scheme?
Yeah, we hear it too, like the injuries now and all these pre-camp injuries. And there's been, I've heard, people maybe from your generation and a little past go, well, they're getting hurt because they're not preparing themselves to play the way we did. Do you think there is something to that? These guys kind of maybe taking it easier,
well,
actually?
I think the body was more durable back then because of the way we did practice. But also, guys don't want to get out there and get hurt because of all the money. And the organization don't want to get a guy hurt. You just gave a guy $20 million. Well, the last thing you want to do is a guy to get hurt and not be able to play,
There you go. Well, I'll tell you what, 2 Hall of Famers in a row. We're going to keep things rolling. We got Chris Berman coming up.
We got Mr. Berman coming up, who always does a great job every year. It's always good to see Chris, and Chris has been nothing but a class act to do this every year with us. And we love, like I said, Chris is part of the Hall of Fame family. They might well put a bust of Chris over there by us in that hall, the way Chris is up there, how much we love Chris.
Willie, I can't thank you enough for doing this,
man.
Thank
you for having me.
Thank you.
Yes,
we'll
thank
take
you,
a
brother.
break.
Right.
As we just heard, surprise guest. How about Chris Berman, a legend, after the break?
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we got to go fast now.
The Houston Astros bounced back with a 3-2 win last night over the Los Angeles Angels. In his Major League debut, Ethan Pecco gave the Astros 3 2/3 innings on the mound, giving up 2 runs with 3 walks and 4 strikeouts. Game 3 between the Astros and the Angels will be tonight at 7:10 p.m. at Daikin Park, and you can listen to it right here on ESPN, 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Week 2 of the NFL preseason begins tonight with 2 games taking place. At 7 p.m., the Oakland Raiders travel to Houston to take on the Texans. The Raiders are favored by 1.5, and kickoff is at 7 p.m. Then in the late kick, it's an all-California matchup between the visiting San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Chargers. San Francisco is a 1.5-point favorite, and kickoff is at 9 p.m. tonight in L.A. The BMW Championship begins play today from Belle Reve Country Club in St. Louis, Missouri. The tournament is the second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs, and at the conclusion of the event, the top 30 in the FedEx Cup standings will move on to East Lake Golf Club in Atlanta for the Tour Championship next weekend. Once again, Scotty Scheffler is the betting favorite at plus 310, and he'll tee off at 1:33 Central Time. The Louisiana judge has granted former LSU Tiger Jack Pyburn and 15 other players a temporary restraining order against the NCAA, allowing them to return to school and seek another year of college eligibility. The players' argument is that they're being denied the same opportunity given to future athletes under the NCAA's new eligibility rules. I'm Blake Purser, and you're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Road coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
When strength matters, go to apfabllp.com. Precision built to last, from heavy-duty aluminum structural welding using TIG, MIG, and stick to custom metal fabrication designed exactly for your project. Need safety inspections, weld analysis, or 24-hour metal repairs? Trust A&P to get the job done. For quality craftsmanship and dependable service, visit apfabllp.com. That's apfabllp.com. A&P Fabrication and Construction. Built strong, built right.
Before hitting the road, get hooked up at Match Trailers on Bertrand Drive. Everything you need from truck equipment, accessories, and trailer parts, Match Trailers has it. Match Trailers, 1849 Bertrand Drive in Lafayette, or give Matt a call at 235-7534.
It's hurricane season, and Mid-South Power Solutions wants you and your family to be prepared. Protect your home from sudden power outages with a Generac automatic standby generator, the industry leader. Installed by the experts at Mid-South Power Solutions, the Generac automatic standby generator will start up during power failures, keeping your home powered until the local utility restores service. Remember, installing a standby generator is not a do-it-yourself project. Mid-South Power Solutions factory-trained technicians meet the highest standards. Don't get caught in the dark. Visit Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley or at midsouthpowersolutions.com. Mid-South Power Solutions. Your power, our priority.
Delta Home Center and Delta Trailer Sales, your one-stop shop for utility and cargo trailers. Heavy-duty dump and gooseneck trailers, portable buildings, cabins, decks, porches, fences, carports, and site-built metal shops. Located at Exit 7 in Carencro or at deltatrailersales.com.
Home electrical safety, up next from Mr. Electric. Because one power strip can clearly handle your TV, your radio, your lamp, your phone charger, your heater, and whatever else you get plugged in there. Of course, that's sarcasm. Do not overload your outlets and never run cords under rugs or furniture. And if an outlet is hot, a breaker keeps tripping, or something smells suspiciously bad, call a licensed electrician. When it comes to electricity, trying to be a hero is a great way to end up in the news for the wrong reason.
If you would like to learn more, visit MrElectric.com.
It's generator season. Here's Sean Dore with Mr. Electric.
Standby generators are automatic. These come on right as your power's off. Right when you lose power, here comes your generator power within less than a minute. And now you're running like normal. And so those generators, they're a little more expensive, but they are very convenient.
Call Mr. Electric today or see us on Facebook.
The biggest headlines in the world of sports are discussed here. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
impromptu guests are the best guests, and this one's really, really cool. How about a legend, Chris Berman, ESPN. He's been on the airwaves forever. Chris, can't thank you enough for stopping by.
I was in the area. I've been to Lafayette. I know that the Houdats are all over Canton. I've only been here a few hours, but I don't even need to wonder because you know better than me what Drew Brees and that group meant to the state, to the city, to the Bayou. It was bigger than football, and he's last for a reason when we do our thing tomorrow, which they're nice enough to let me MC, and I'm gonna lay it on pretty thick.
That's what is it like, this event for you? You've done a lot of big ones, right? But this, we've been talking to some of the Hall of Famers, and they just have this glow about getting back every year, talking to these people, this fraternity they've built. This is just one of the coolest weekends. It's nothing really like it.
It's really cool to see, because they and the guys that go in for the first year and maybe the next year that they're back, when it's not them having to speak and getting worried, is mom and dad all set, or my kids, and the next year, then they kind of relive what they did. And then by year 3, they realize they're on the greatest team of all time.
Yeah.
Now they may not all be the same age, but this is the greatest team of all time. And so the fact that they get 100 or 125 this year, or whatever the number is, and they've just had a luncheon, which they can't tell you much about. I wasn't in it either. They called the Ray Nitschke luncheon. The Ray and Deacon Jones used to speak, and what it was to be they weren't razzing the new guys. It wasn't, hazing, but what it was to be a Hall of Famer and come back when you can. And these guys take it seriously. You look, what sport is more of a team sport than football? None. And that's not to knock anything else. None. Willie Roaf doesn't block for you, you're not gaining any yards. Willie Roaf doesn't block for you, your defense is getting overrun because even though you have nothing to do with the arm. You see what I'm saying? You know that. And they embrace that here. And it's fun for me to even be on stage, and then we go to a commercial and it's 3 minutes and I'm looking behind me and, well, there they are. And I know them all. Certainly by doing this, I've done the MC 26 times. Doesn't mean I'm good at it or whatever. They're too stupid to get rid of me. But I'm doing it. And I look for that call every year like, why? Were you worried? Oh, you haven't invited me yet. So it's an honor. If you love football and you don't get goosebumps looking up on that stage, there's something wrong with you.
Well, I tell you what, for me, hearing your voice right now, talking to you, a little surreal, and I've watched NFL primetime probably most of my life, and you've still been doing it. Yeah, about it. Are you coming back again, or are we running it back again?
Oh God, yeah.
I can't wait for it. I enjoy. I can't tell you, man. Listen,
we got a Louisiana legend with me, Booger.
of course, and he's slid in and done a great job, hasn't he?
Booger's been great.
He is
wonderful person. Wonderful and really great perspective. A championship team early in his career and one at the end with the Colts, of which Adams Vinatieri's first year as a Colt was 06, and that was when Booger, came over toward the end of his career. But Tony Dungy had coached him in Tampa, and they made a trade in the middle of the deadline, and he won another ring. So his perspective from that side of the ball is the one I've always had with Tommy, a 14-year linebacker. So I get to throw the ball. They get to tell me how the tackle was made.
I love listening to you with NFL primetime, but, man, I miss you doing baseball as well. I'm just going to let you know.
I love doing it. But semi-retirement's a real thing. I'm 47. Doesn't mean I'm old. And I'm 47 years in the business. I'm 71. I meant to say I'm 47 years. But
I would have believed 40. I would have been okay with 47 as your age.
Yeah, well, you got my check. But I love doing it too because it was different. Football, people go, "Well, what's your favorite football stadium?" I said, "I've been to less than you have, probably." What do you mean? Well, I'm in the studio Sundays.
Right.
I see all the games, but unless it's a Super Bowl or an occasional Monday night or something, I would go. I'm not at it. Baseball, you're at the cage the night before on a Tuesday. You get a Wednesday game you do. It's a little different. You can BS with some of the players, get some of your stories, maybe tell them. That's very kind of you because I did like 400 baseball games. Again, doesn't make me good at it, but I love that sport too. But football is my professional, calling card.
I'll throw one other thing in there. I'll watch the home run derby. I have your voice as a track in the back of my head while it's happening, whether you're saying it or not live.
Well, look, the other guys, Carl behind me.
Oh, they're great. No doubt.
But I tell you what, it's funny. George, this is why I'm glad I didn't grow up in the internet age and when everybody had a phone and all this stuff. And, it's toward the last few years, and I don't read it, but it makes it, oh, my God, if he says back one more time, I'm going to hang myself. And, But, 10 years later, I got better at it. I miss him. I can't believe we don't hear back. No knock on Carl Ravitch, or Matt this year. But it's funny. I got better each year I didn't do it. When I was doing it, I got worse. It's just funny how it works. So don't believe everything you read.
I want to ask you
I was
about
no good at it.
No good. I want to ask you about Canton because the vibe that I've gotten since we've been here, I've been to Lambeau as a fan, and that's a very small town, and they all embrace it, and they let people park in their yards on game day, and it's very much in that Canton has that same feeling here for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. What makes Canton special for you?
Let me give you. I came a couple times in the '80s, even just to cover it, and in the '90s just to cover it. I started emceeing in the late '90s, whatever year it was. When we used to come till about 15 years ago, whoever we were, in our room, hotel room, when we check in, there would be a drawing from an elementary school student, not Joe, grade 3 from Central Elementary, or Emma, grade 2 from, Cypress Elementary. They would say the grade in the school. Some would be from a first grader, barely a football. But it was always in a little thing, welcome to Canton, Ohio. Well, does that answer?
Yeah.
Like, that's better than parking in your yard. You had a second grader in May before school went out or whenever it did. Draw a picture to somebody they'll never meet, and they didn't know it was Chris Berman from Chris Kringle. My late wife was an elementary school teacher anyway, so I would bring these home. It's enough to make you tear up. So that's Canton. It's the Midwest. People are nice here, and they appreciate everybody. They do. Not that they don't down where you guys are from. Louisiana's as friendly as it gets. I haven't had an arm not come out to me. Usually New Orleans is when I'm in Louisiana, but because I never covered college sports, so I'm not LSU or any of that. But come on in. Even before they knew who I was. You guys are the most welcoming, but they are here too. And by the way, like we said, I get what Drew Brees and those Saints did for Louisiana. I think we started that way. Well, I was in that game that Steve Gleason blocked the kick. See? I already have goosebumps. This will be a big deal. I'm going to lay it on thick for Drew. Don't you worry.
Oh, well, we can't thank you enough for stopping by. This wasn't scheduled, so thank you for doing this. And I look forward to hearing you again in the fall.
James
Mesh is the man.
He got me before I went upstairs. I had to say yes. I said, I've been to Lafayette.
Thank you, Chris.
There you have it.
It's great of you guys to be here.
Thank you.
Carry our ESPN flag from Lake Charles, almost Texas border, right?
Yep.
That's right.
I've been there.
That is the end of
A lot of shrimp shacks.
It's D-Loh hopping back in present day now after hearing the Chris Berman interview again. Really, hands down, like one of the coolest conversations I've gotten a chance to have. in my time doing this. No doubt about it. So, tell you what. All right, that's two of our favorites. We've got a couple more interviews for you. We're going to switch things up in hour number 2. But first off, James Mesh is going to give you an update to the poll question of the day after the break. He'll update the results for you. We're asking you which injury hurts the most for the New Orleans Saints. We'll start hour number 2 with my own thoughts about this poll question of the day. So that'll be more kind of new content, live content, and then we'll play back our other favorite interviews from Hall of Fame weekend. You're listening to The LohDown. It's ESPN, Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
This is The LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Do you want to take ESPN Southwest Louisiana Sports Station with you wherever you go? Then download the free ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app powered by Moss Motors today. It's your one-stop shop for all things ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. You could download the free mobile app by simply searching ESPN 103.7 Lafayette. That way, no matter where you are, you can listen to Southwest Louisiana Sports Station.
Delta Media is your home for Friday Night Football. STM on ESPN 103.7, North Vermilion on 106.3 Lafayette, Catholic High of New Iberia on Mustang 107.1 FM, St. Landry Parish Game of the Week on Z105.9, LRCA on News Talk 98.5 FM, and Barb on ESPN 104.1. Listen to the games on the radio or on each station's free mobile app. Delta Media has you covered for thrilling Friday Night Football.
Do you know how many tax resolution firms have been forced to close because they were taking advantage of people or have gone out of business? It happens all the time. Hi, this is Kerry Bryson with the Bryson Law Firm. As a matter of fact, there are national tax relief companies that are currently under court orders to cease operations. So if you have IRS issues, do not fall for the threats and scare tactics of the national so-called tax relief companies. The Bryson Law Firm has been doing this for decades. We have a AAA BBB rating, and our entire focus is IRS problems and tax liability issues. An IRS problem is a legal problem. Let the Bryson Law Firm help you get relief the right way. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Bryson Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Don't put it off any longer. Call the Bryson Law Firm. Our headquarters are in Lafayette, and we have offices statewide. Or visit BrysonLawFirm.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Bryson Law Firm. LSB filing number LA251964.
Home electrical safety, up next from Mr. Electric. Because one power strip can clearly handle your TV, your radio, your lamp, your phone charger, your heater, and whatever else you get plugged in there. Of course, that's sarcasm. Do not overload your outlets and never run cords under rugs or furniture. And if an outlet is hot, a breaker keeps tripping, or something smells suspiciously bad, call a licensed electrician. When it comes to electricity, trying to be a hero is a great way to end up in the news for the wrong reason.
If you would like to learn more, visit MrElectric.com.
It's generator season. Here's Sean Dore with Mr. Electric.
Standby generators are automatic. These come on right as your power is off. Right when you lose power, here comes your generator power within less than a minute. And now you're running like normal. And so those generators, they're a little more expensive, but they are very convenient.
Call Mr. Electric today or see us on Facebook.
When it comes to the best boudin cracklins in Acadiana, just follow your nose to Billy's Boudin Cracklins. You know the original stuffed pepper jack boudin balls, award-winning boudin cracklins, but you gotta sink your teeth into their variety of fresh and smoked sausages. Stock up on the wide selection of specialty meats as well. They're available at all 4 locations of Billy's Boudin Cracklins, Opelousas, Scott, Lafayette, or the Crot Springs location, now featuring a dine-in area with great burgers and much more cooked to order. Or visit online at billysboudin.com.
It's a great time to get out on the water, and Black's has you covered. Black's Outdoor Marine is Acadiana's Tohatsu Outboard and Low Boats headquarters. Tohatsu Outboards are reliable, affordable, and backed by a 5-year warranty. Black's has low-interest financing and can handle your outboard or mud motor repair. Stop by 1423 Northwest Evangeline Thruway in Lafayette or call 337-233-4272. That's 337-233-4272. Black's Outdoor Marine, serving Acadiana since 1968.
Acadiana area businesses. Is it time to make an impact? Time for more traffic, more engagement, time for more customers? Then it's time to make a splash with Bass. Bass is now offering digital marketing, indoor and outdoor digital signage, billboards, and video production to help you reach more customers and close more business. For over 30 years, Bass has helped our customers tell their story. Bass Companies. Remember, a business without a sign is a sign of no business. Advertise with Bass. Find us around Acadiana or at bassltd.com.
This is ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, broadcasting live from the Beal and Hebert studios in Upper Lafayette. Beal and Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers. Back to more of Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Wrapping up hour number 1 of the Lowdown with D-Loh, and we'll do so by talking about the poll question of the day. D-Loh previously had talked about what it was, gave you the question, but let's go further into it. Which injury hurts the most when it comes to the Saints players that have gotten injured so far? There's a lot of big names. You can look at Brian Bresee, who's now going to be out for the year. You can look at Jordan Tyson, who, wait for it, has a hamstring injury. Who would have thunk it? Alvin Kamara has actually got an MCL injury. And then there's other guys like Quincy Riley, Dylan Radins, Devin Neal, Cam Jordan. There's a lot of names out there for the Saints already that have injuries. Which one hurts the most? Right now, Brian Bresee has 42%. Normally, through most of the day, it was Jordan Tyson, the rookie phenom that had been showing up and showing out in camp, been looking really good. He's actually not far off. He had been leading throughout most of the day, but has since then dropped to second place. He's actually got 35% of the votes, or 38%. 38.5 if you want to be specific. 11.5% are going with Alvin Kamara, and then about 8% have said other. We can look towards the comments. Salty Steve says, "Are you kidding me? The Saints can't afford to lose anyone, not even the water boy." Can't disagree. Mike says, "How can Riley not be on the list? He's a starter at one of the toughest positions in the game." Well, Alvin Kamara is one of the best players in franchise history. Like I said, Jordan Tyson, number 8 overall pick, a lot of hope. Brian Bresee is supposed to be a starter and is now going to be out for the year. And we only have 4 options, so had to throw other out there. But no, I think Quincy Riley is very much a valid option as well, because we don't know exactly how long he's going to miss either with that groin injury. We're going to go ahead and take a timeout. When we come back, we'll start off hour number 2 of the Lowdown with D-Loh. That's next.
Heart of Acadiana is its local businesses, the people, families, and companies that help our communities thrive. Here's a message from a proud certified South Louisiana business.
Candyland Cottage is the place to satisfy all your cravings. Find delicious ice creams, fresh fudges, truffles, hot dogs, sausage po' boys, Frito pies, and homemade shakes. Visit us in Scott and Rain for a sweet treat. Plan your next birthday party or field trip at Candyland Cottage.
Shop local, support local. Certified South Louisiana.
Are you looking for an eye expert? Well, visit Acadiana Optics in Broussard, locally owned, founded, and operated by Broussard native Dr. Lindsay Dugas. From comprehensive eye exams for glasses and contacts to diabetic exams, pediatric eye care, emergency eye care, cataract and LASIK evaluations, Acadiana Optics provides family eye care for all vision needs. Enjoy state-of-the-art technology, designer frame selections, prescription Maui Jim sunglasses, and custom glasses and contacts. Acadiana Optics in Broussard. Call today to schedule your appointment.
Time to toast. Gulf Brew is back. Join the Gulf South's largest craft beer festival Saturday, September 19th from 3 until 7 in downtown Lafayette. Sample more than 200 craft beers. Enjoy live music, great local food vendors, and the unmatched atmosphere of downtown. Plus, designated driver tickets are available with mocktails and non-alcoholic brews. Grab your friends and make plans now. Get your tickets today at downtownlafayette.org. We'll see you at Gulf Brew.
Hear that? That's Alka-Seltzer, the sound of fast heartburn relief. Because when heartburn hits, you want something that works fast. Quick! Alka-Seltzer. Alka-Seltzer effervescent tablets start neutralizing stomach acid in seconds, so nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Next time, when that burning feeling comes on strong, don't wait. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Try Alka-Seltzer. Use as directed.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Carencro Lafayette, KLCJ-FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.
Is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. It's back to Cleveland for James Harden. A free agent guard agreed to a new 3-year, $97 million contract to return to the Cavaliers. Includes a player option for the 2028-2029 NBA season and a trade kicker. With the deal, Harden will become the fourth player in league history to pass the $500 million career earnings mark. Buccaneers defensive tackle Vita Vea signed his new deal today. So what does this mean for quarterback Baker Mayfield, who is looking for a new contract of his own? ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter.
I think the issue to Baker is that if you're a franchise player, you deserve more than a 2-year extension. I don't know that Tampa would or wouldn't be willing to offer a 3rd year or 4th year, and I don't know that it matters. It feels like Baker is perfectly content shutting it down, playing out the season, facing the prospect of being franchised after the season, and seeing where it goes.
Lions tight end Sam Laporta's status for Week 1 remains unclear due to a hip injury. Oklahoma football coach Brent Venables agreed to a new 6-year contract. It's expected to average more than $10.5 million per season.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Friday, the Raiders have questions about who should be their starter, but I'll tell you why I think it would be a huge mistake for them to play Fernando Mendoza too quickly. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Dawson Iserloh prides himself on taking a deep dive to uncover all the relevant data about the sports and sports teams he loves. And now he's sharing all those facts inside his big brain with all of you. Here is the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It is hour number 2 of 2, ESPN 1037 in Lafayette, 1041 in Lake Charles. Anywhere you are with the ESPN Southwest Louisiana mobile app and streaming live on YouTube, ESPN_SWLA. D-Loh coming at you on a Thursday here. We're inside the Beal and Hebert studios in Upper Lafayette. It's kind of a hybrid edition of the show. If you're just joining us, with the heat of football season kind of, getting closer, I wanted to at least go back and play some of my favorite interviews from this Hall of Fame experience that we had in Canton, Ohio. So figured, how about a day where I'll still do my intros to each hour, and then we'll play some of these interviews as the rest of the hour goes on. So that's what we did in the first one. Started off talking kind of some of the best things I saw yesterday in present day, Little League World Series stuff, the Houston Astros, this whole LSU situation with eligibility and players coming back and who really isn't eligible these days. Feels like if you want to play college athletics, you got a decent shot no matter what your past, present, or future situation looks like. Anyway, we're going to do that again here in the second hour. I will start this hour talking my own thoughts on the poll question of the day. We'll get a little bit more into New Orleans Saints stuff, what's happened here in the latest camp news and notes and storylines, of course, with the Saints doing another joint practice today. We'll certainly have a lot to break down tomorrow as well. But we're going to start off with the injury stuff of what's already happened, and then we've still got interviews to play moving forward. We've got our conversation with Kevin Mawai, LSU legend, NFL Hall of Famer, and our conversation with Paul Domowitch, the author of the book on Sam Mills titled Just Give Me a Chance to Fail, the life of NFL Hall of Fame linebacker Sam Mills. So both those interviews still to come, but we start this second hour, as I mentioned, with a conversation about where the Saints sit on the injury front. And we know that, look, this is fluid. This stuff can change, and, but let's just go through the 3 big injuries that we know of as of now that we have, clarity on the future of when these players will or won't be back this season. And those 3, of course, we're referencing are Alvin Kamara, Jordan Tyson, and Brian Brzee. So when you start with the Kamara injury in some ways is the least significant in my mind because, A, believe it or not, he was not pegged to be a starter on this roster. Number 2, he has a chance to return pretty close to the start of the regular season, right? So I'm immediately going to rule Kamara out on this front. It's not that it's not serious and not something to worry about. I do think, while I'm using maybe semantics to my advantage to say he's not technically a starter, we know he has a big role in this offense, and it sounds like Kellen Moore loves the idea of what he can be in conjunction with Travis Etienne, right? I want to say Etienne because I'm seeing the E, how it's spelled, but I know that it's obviously, a little bit of a different pronunciation. Etienne is the correct one. We've been learning that one all off season. He was Etienne, now he's Etienne. I got to get that right at some point. But anyway, so the Kamara injury, it's significant, it matters, but I certainly think next to these other two, there's no way I can put it as the one that hurts the Saints the most for the season. Jordan Tyson is next up, and if these injuries were the same length of time, if it was Tyson out for the year and Brzee both out for the year, I think I'd probably err on the side of Tyson. The reason it's so disappointing, well, a couple different factors here. For one, we knew he had an injury concern, an injury history coming in, so we've already had our guard up when it comes to Tyson and the excitement level around the pick. For some, Kevin, cough, cough, James Mesh, cough, cough, the injury history was enough to not even want to make that selection and not even bring him into the fold in the first place. So I understand that. And then when it comes to fruition, you're scared of something, and then, boom, it happens. You go, I was right, and I didn't want to be right. And so I think there's a big reaction to that. That's part of the problem with the Tyson injury is that it's not that we saw it coming, but in a way we saw it coming, right? Because he has this history. So that's a very frustrating part of it. But he is still going to play this season as long as this doesn't turn into one of those setbacks. Hopefully they don't take a Houston Astros approach. Remember a couple years ago, Astros have guys working their way back. Oh, had a setback. Sorry, we'll see him in another 2 months. Or maybe even the Pelicans approach. That's even worse. Let's not wish that on anybody. But the Zion Williamson, reevaluated in 2 weeks. Oh, wait, the season's almost over. Yep, sorry, we'll see him next year. That is what we need to avoid when it comes to the Tyson injury, okay? If you get clear of that, if he comes back in the 2 months time frame that we've talked about here, maybe misses the first month of the season, a little bit into the second, but still plays 10 to 12 games this year, we can live with that, okay? And that is why, to me, the injury that hurts the most is Bryan Brzee, and that is because there is no window for him to return this season, okay? I guess outside of some freak Carlos Correa, I'm coming back from injury 3 months early thing, which that's not going to happen. It's a defensive tackle with an ACL. I mean, that's out of the question here. So assuming Brzee doesn't play a snap this season, which is what that's the accurate information we have to go off of right now. This was a season in which nobody would have listed Brzee as the most important or the second or third most important on the roster this year, okay? Nobody probably would have even had him as an under-the-radar breakout star because you've had, those roles and those things probably reserved for other players on this team. But what he was a really solid puzzle piece. When you're building a jigsaw puzzle, you're trying to get the outskirts figured out first. You know what? I know I've got a couple pieces that might connect on the interior, but I just want to have my base. I want to have everything solidified. I want to get this fortress on the outside done first, and then we'll worry about the interior of this thing. That was what Bryan Brzee was. He was one of those outside exterior puzzle pieces that was going to help your foundation of your puzzle, and then you were going to use some of those fun pieces like Jordan Tyson to figure out the basics on the inside. So now you're missing that outside piece. Now, can you convert somebody else to an outside piece? Maybe if you weren't building a puzzle, that probably wouldn't be possible. But maybe it is a Vernon Broughton who comes in and has some versatility for you that can make a couple other moves, can play well, can play consistently for you, can give you some good reps on the interior of the defensive line. Maybe that is the case. Could be somebody like a Christian Miller, who they really feel highly out of Georgia that they drafted in the first couple rounds of the NFL draft. Maybe that is the case, but I think it's the most reshuffling you have to do. The Saints, I think, as a front office and as a coaching staff, had to sit down after this injury and really rethink some things. Whereas even with the Tyson setback, I think you're sitting there going, all right, well, it's next man up. We'll figure it out. We'll kind of move some pieces until he's back, but we'll be fine. With Brzee, I think, and that's probably why you saw them make a couple calls on some veteran D linemen, and they ended up bringing in Saunders, not the same one that we thought they were going to bring back, but they bring in Saunders. That makes you have to reevaluate, at least momentarily. And so that's one of those things for me that I think is the most significant. So for me, the answer is Bryan Brzee. I would understand it if you put Tyson in. If you think it's Kamara, I would disagree with that, but I'd hear out the logic on it. Not going to shut anybody down before I hear what they have to say. But I think for me, Brzee is the one that matters the most. I did want to talk a little bit of big picture stuff with this Saints team while we still have some time the rest of this segment. The Tyler Shough situation, it is one of those reminders for me how long a year is at times, right? Sometimes a year feels real short. Sometimes it feels long. And in this case, in the world of football, with how quickly things change, I just want to remind us of where we were 1 year ago at this point. Because when Tyler Shough was not starting at quarterback in the first preseason game, not because they don't believe in him, because they believe in him so much that they didn't need to see him out there in that first preseason game. It caused me to look back and think about it just 1 year ago. We had legitimate conversations going on day in and day out about whether or not Spencer Rattler or Tyler Shough should be the starting quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. We had legitimate conversations about whether or not it was a wasted draft pick. I was never going to go that far until I saw it play out, but certainly some people did, okay? And now, less than a year removed from all those conversations, and we had the right to have them. We were right to have those conversations at that point, right, based on the information we had. But less than a year removed from that, we are now so confident in Tyler Shough being the starting quarterback that we do not feel the need to run him out there in preseason NFL games. I just wanted to kind of bring that into focus. I've got another comparison point, okay? If you heard the show on Monday, I was in Chicago all weekend. I didn't even realize the Bears were playing until I was there, but I ended up checking out a Bears preseason game. Watched the likes of Tyson Bagent play quarterback for the Chicago Bears. A year ago in Chicago, this is not being made up either. Even had some conversations with some locals about it, okay? There were conversations about whether or not Tyson Bagent should have a real legitimate shot at getting the starting nod to start the year over Caleb Williams. Then Caleb gets it right. He and Ben Johnson click. Bears make the playoffs. Bears make a run. Now it seems silly to even have that and have been entertaining that thought of this undrafted kid in Bagent maybe being a better option. There were some legitimate, I'm not making this up because I was just in Chicago. There were Bears fans a year ago that thought Tyson Bagent should be the starter over Caleb Williams. So in one way, I say that to make it a positive, right? Look at how much things have changed in the right direction for the Saints, and it feels like the organization maybe has direction again. It feels like you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're all getting excited for this season the way we haven't been excited about a season since Drew was the quarterback. It is also to remind us that things can change on a dime in the other direction. I'll go to 2 years back, and I know I've used this analogy or this situation on the show before, but I think it's worth continuing to revisit. C.J. Stroud was the unquestioned Rookie of the Year. C.J. Stroud was the next franchise quarterback. Set it and forget it. Houston has their guy. They just got to figure out the stuff around him. And then the next year happens, and it wasn't great. And then the third year happens, and it wasn't great. And now we're asking a lot of the questions that we asked before C.J. ever played a game. How much of this stuff was real? How much of it was maybe just catching a really good, lightning in a bottle for his first few starts? How much did NFL defenses getting tape on this guy and kind of going back and studying the film, how much did it change what he's capable of? Did maybe CJ get a little overconfident? Like, we don't know what happened. We're trying to answer all these questions as we're going along. But to put this all together now and have a question mark about whether or not the quarterback in Houston is the guy of the future, a lot can change in a year, and in this case, maybe it's a couple-year development. It's one of those where I get to this point of the segment and I go, is there an overarching opinion I have, a real big point to make, or am I just kind of playing devil's advocate here? No, I do. I think I have a point, and the point is that you should never fall in love too much with the current situation. I've brought it up before. There's this idea of like a point in which you no longer have to ask yourself if you have the guy at that position, specifically at quarterback. It can change a lot for other positions because other positions also regress pretty rapidly when they start to age, whereas the quarterback has, a longer strand of longevity. Sometimes you don't have to ask that question for like a decade. Russell Wilson's my favorite example of that. There was never any questions in Seattle for the better part of a decade about who their quarterback was and if they had the guy or not. He won them a Super Bowl, made an appearance in another one. No one was questioning that. And then all of a sudden, when he was still in what we consider to be the prime of a quarterback's career, we did have to ask those questions, and Seattle did move on from him, and he went other places, and it never quite worked out. And guess what Seattle did since then? They found him a new guy, and they won a Super Bowl with him. And it was not the guy we ever expected him to do it with. It was Sam Darnold. But to even get to that spot, to even get to that point where Seattle was for so long with Russ, where you do not have to ask the question, you don't even have to bring it up in the offseason, that is arguably the most valuable place an NFL franchise can be. It's where Joshua Allen has put, I don't know why I called him Joshua, but I guess that is his birth-given name. It's where Josh Allen has put the Buffalo Bills for the last better part of a decade. It's where Patrick Mahomes has easily put the Kansas City Chiefs for the better part of that as well. It's where Burrow's put the Bengals. It's where Lamar's put the Ravens. Okay? That's where you want to be as a franchise. And the Saints are on their way, perhaps, to getting to that point. I'd love it if they're there. They're not there yet, though. They still have difficult questions to answer, and Tyler Shuck's got to show up and show out in the year 2026 and prove that what we saw at the end of last year wasn't a nice 8-game stretch, that it was who he's going to be moving forward in the National Football League. And there's similar questions being asked elsewhere. The funny thing about it is we have maybe less questions to ask about a player like Caleb Williams in this spot, but I think a lot of that's tied to the idea that, well, once we start to see the flashes and we remember, he was the first overall pick, we're much more willing to accept it. Whereas somebody like Shuck, who there was a lot of doubts around, there was a lot of questions about him when he was selected, I think that causes us sometimes to ask those questions for longer. I'll close this segment with one more point I like to make from time to time. It's one of my favorite things to just remind fans of. Maybe I'll create a fan guide one day of all the things that I feel like I've learned that fans should keep in mind. If you ever hear a player that's joining your team referred to as a former first-round pick, you should not be excited to add that player to your team. Now, maybe that's not a fair way to say it. Maybe you can be excited to add them to your team. You should not have super high expectations that they are going to perform like that. The only time you refer to someone as a former first-round pick is when they have not lived up to being a first-round pick yet. Nobody refers to Patrick Mahomes as that former first-round pick at quarterback, right? Nobody refers to Jalen Ramsey as that former first-round pick at defensive back. Nobody refers to Myles Garrett as that former first-round pick at edge rusher, okay? They are just Myles Garrett, Jalen Ramsey, and Patrick Mahomes because they have lived up to everything and they have value past their namesake. Marcus Davenport signed with another team last week, and you know what he was referred to as? That former first-round pick, Marcus Davenport. That is not a good thing. Tyree Wilson, Saints brought him in. I'm excited. That's why I said, it doesn't mean you can't get excited, but I do have to remind myself, if I have significant expectations for him this year, that is not a good thing because he is right now referred to as that former first-round pick, Tyree Wilson. There was a stretch, though, and here's my last example I'll give. There is hope. There was a time in which Sam Darnold was signing from franchise to franchise, trying to win backup jobs, and he was referred to as that former first-round pick, Sam Darnold. He has effectively removed that tag from his name. We no longer talk about him like that. And guess what he has? He has a really cool one. Super Bowl champion, Sam Darnold. So it's possible, but it doesn't happen all that often. Usually, that former first-round pick tag is kind of a kiss of death that may get those players a second and third opportunity that other players wouldn't get. It doesn't mean that they have exceeded expectations at any point in their careers just yet to that point. All right, we'll take a break here, as I mentioned. Going to play back a couple more of my favorite interviews from the Hall of Fame experience. We'll start it off after this timeout. We'll play back our conversation with LSU legend, NFL Hall of Famer, offensive lineman Kevin Mawai. Then we'll go straight into our conversation after that with Paul Domowitch, the author of that great book about Sam Mills. That's next. You're listening to The LohDown.
This is The LohDown with D-Loh. Live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Hello, everyone. This is Jeff Palermo. Join us on Tuesday nights for Tiger Rag Radio. Myself, Todd Horn, and Glenn Gilbo give you the latest happenings in Tiger Town and across the SEC. We talk to coaches, analysts, and those in the know when it comes to the Tigers and the Southeastern Conference. We cover all the sports: football, baseball, basketball, softball, and gymnastics. That's Tuesday nights right here on ESPN 103.7 in Lafayette and 104.1 in Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Do you know how many tax resolution firms have been forced to close because they were taking advantage of people or have gone out of business? It happens all the time. Hi, this is Kerry Bryson with the Bryson Law Firm. As a matter of fact, there are national tax relief companies that are currently under court orders to cease operations. So if you have IRS issues, do not fall for the threats and scare tactics of the national so-called tax relief companies. The Bryson Law Firm has been doing this for decades. We have a AAA BBB rating, and our entire focus is IRS problems and tax liability issues. An IRS problem is a legal problem. Let the Bryson Law Firm help you get relief the right way. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Bryson Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Don't put it off any longer. Call the Bryson Law Firm. Our headquarters are in Lafayette, and we have offices statewide. Or visit BrysonLawFirm.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Bryson Law Firm, LSB filing number LA2519684.
This is your Chiropractic Expert Minute, brought to you by Dr. Quentin Briscoe, chiropractic physician.
Hello, I'm Dr. Quentin Briscoe. Veterans, are you struggling with chronic back pain, neck issues, or reduced mobility? You're not alone, and you have options. Chiropractic care is part of your VA health benefits, and at Briscoe Chiropractic, we specialize in non-surgical, drug-free solutions to help manage your pain and improve your well-being. We are proud to work with the VA Community Care Network. Let us help you regain your mobility and enjoy the active life you deserve. In addition to the VA Community Care Network, we are also in network with Blue Cross Blue Shield and Aetna. We accept motor vehicle accidents and workman's comp cases.
To schedule an appointment with Briscoe Chiropractic, visit drqmb.com or call 337-534-0091. That's drqmb.com or 337-534-0091, because your spine deserves expert care.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Split backs, needing 7 yards. Breeze throws, end zone, touchdown, and there's the record. That's unbelievable. Drew Brees in rare air. The all-time single-season NFL passing record.
NFL record breaker, Super Bowl MVP, and now Pro Football Hall of Famer. Congrats, Drew. Let's get back to Canton, Ohio for the gold standard with RP3, Mesh, and D-Loh. Presented by Beal and Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers.
Oh, welcome back into the gold standard presented by Beal and Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers. Greatly appreciate them helping us make this happen as we're broadcasting from FanFest here for the Pro Football Hall of Fame induction weekend in Canton, Ohio. We're right across the way from the Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers music stage. All the Raising Cane's are around here these days. Never thought I'd see the day where our Chicken Fingers from Louisiana would be taking over Canton, Ohio. But, man, they are, brother. They are. And so, yeah, please continue to keep voting on our poll question of the day, which is on Friday is always our foodie poll question of the day. And now we welcome in our next guest. And he needs no introductions, but we're going to give him one because out of respect, he deserves it. He played 16 seasons in the National Football League. He was a 7-time All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler. He was named to the NFL's 2000s All-Decade team. He was an All-SEC performer at LSU. He's in the Jets Ring of Honor, the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, and, of course, the Pro Football Hall of Fame as well. It's our privilege to welcome back to the show our old friend, one of the nicest guys in the sports business, Mr. Kevin Mawai. Kevin, thank you for making the time, brother.
Man, it's great to be here, especially here in my second home in Canton, Ohio, to have a hometown or a home state radio station down here. And I, for the life of me, I was trying to figure out why you guys were even coming here. And then I forgot the Drew's getting in. So it's like, well, hey, it's the perfect reason, but I'm glad I can be here with you guys and take a few moments and welcome to Canton.
Appreciate it, man. It has been an amazing experience for us so far. But I want to ask you, as a military kid who found his way there in Leesville and was a proud Wampus cat, what did it mean to you to be a guy from Leesville, Louisiana, that one day ended up here in Canton, Ohio.
Oh,
for the
it's
Pro
it's so special just to represent. You represent my family, my Hawaiian heritage, and all that. But to come from a small town, last week I had the privilege of being a part of Meet the Wampus Cat Nights with the junior high and high school team, and we have an alum, Chuck Owens, state legislature, who's from that area, and he prides himself, and he is the history buff of Leesville High School football, and so we had a big deal where he debuted the history of Leesville High School football documentary, and the whole town was there. The team, former players from all over, and I had an opportunity to speak, and just to be able to say like big things come out of small packages. Coming from Leesville High School, we have 10 guys that played in the NFL. One of us are in the Hall of Fame, but beyond that, just beyond like the football players, we got military personnel are serving in the 3-4-star generals in the Pentagon. We got people who served on president's staffs and authors, writers, actors, all from a small town. At the height of the Fort Polk era was maybe 8,000 people, not including the military base.
Oh, wow.
And so it's exciting. I come here every year knowing that I represent my hometown life and carry my Leesville High School and Leesville Wampus Cat tradition proudly when I come here.
You get out of high school, you go to LSU, and you play there, and you become a starter there. You become an all-SEC performer there. Was there ever a moment during your time playing for the Tigers that you thought to yourself, yeah, look, I can take this to the next level. I'm going to be able to play at the next level.
Oh, I knew. I say that. When I was 8 years old, I told my mom after my very first football practice ever, when we were living in Germany, that I was going to play in the NFL. I fell in love with the game that fast. And so I played 2 years of flag and then 2 years of tackle in Germany, like youth leagues. And then when we were so excited when we got stationed at Fort Polk, now I'm playing for the Leesville Junior High Wampus Cats. First time I ever played for a school team. And then at the time, it was a height, like Jack Andre had just gotten there from Patterson High School. He famously coached Dalton Hilliard before he went to the New Orleans Saints. And then Leesville had a rise in military population, stud athletes coming through there, and there was a heyday of Leesville High School football up to that point because we became pretty much a powerhouse in the state. And then to watch guys like Clint Batterford and Jeff Steele and Anthony Burns go win a national title up in ULM, which used to be was it
1AA?
Yeah, it was 1AA. It was like NLU or Northeast Louisiana, and then watch Eddie Fuller go to LSU. I was a freshman when he's a senior, and he catches the football 4 years later at the end of the game, at the Auburn game, and
the earthquake
game. And that's the game that's like, that's it. I'm done. I'm sold. I'm going to LSU. But then later on, the year before me, Vincent Fuller, who was Leesville's all-time leading rusher at the time, and then Raymond Smoot both went to LSU, and I really got to understand like how big a deal LSU is for a kid that didn't grow up there. I was smitten, and I knew, but I always my lifelong dream was playing NFL, and to get the opportunity, I knew by the time I was probably a late sophomore year, junior year in college, that I was going to have an opportunity to do it. Never once did I ever even dream about the Hall of Fame. I just want to play football as long as I possibly could.
You make your way into the NFL second-round draft pick, but you, in a lot of ways, were kind of a late bloomer when you really started to take over. Is when you started hitting your stride in your, around your 30s, particularly with the New York Jets.
Well, I got drafted. Well, so I played high school ball as a center. When I got to college, the plan was for me to be a center, but I was an athletic guy that could play anything. So we had injuries and things like that, and I ended up playing left tackle. So I was known as a left tackle prior to my senior year. When I finally got moved to center, and I had a great season. I was drafted as a center, and for 2 years I ended up playing guard. We had some injuries along the front. I got plugged into guard for 2 seasons, and then I got finally moved back to center. But it wasn't until I became a free agent and Bill Parcells took a chance on me, made me the highest paid center in the league. Now, like, who's this kid making all this money? But I'm playing in the world's largest media market, and we went to the AFC Championship game. And we have a great running back by the name of Curtis Martin, who's gotten the Hall of Fame in 2012, and other great players, Vinny Testaverde, and Aaron Glenn's now the head coach of the New York Jets, and many, many others. But it it wasn't by accident. It wasn't by design either. But it was just go out there and play ball and have fun doing it, and be the best version of me that I could be, and things worked out for me.
We're talking with Kevin Mawai, Pro Football Hall of Famer, former LSU Tiger, here with us on the Gold Standard. Kevin, you said you could see yourself playing the NFL. Obviously, the Hall of Fame never entered your brain. When was the first time Hall of Fame was thrown out to you? Were you still playing? Was that after the
Yeah,
fact?
I was with the New York Jets. It was probably year 12, 10, 11 or 12, and I'd already made like 5 Pro Bowls, 6, whatever it was, 6 Pro Bowls. And one of our media personnel that covered us, he goes, have you ever thought about the Hall of Fame? I was like, I really never gave it any thought. And he goes, well, it's like you're kind of building stats as an offensive lineman that puts you in that conversation. And so I went back and started researching, like, who at my position was in the Hall of Fame. Went back to Mel Hine, Jim Otto. Then of course everybody knew about Mike Webster, and there was a couple pre modern day era guys that were. Gatsky was in there, but he was like a linebacker center before everybody was individual positions. And then I want to know, like, how long did they play, the length of their career, how long between their retirement and their induction did it take to get in. So I kind of knew those numbers, and I had that hanging in my locker the rest of my career. So I knew what centers were in there, how long they played, how many Pro Bowls and All Pros they've been to, and I'm like, it's stacking up, but still never gave it much thought. And then I retired, and then you got to wait the 5 years, and then 5 years out, I became a semifinalist in the first year, and it took me 3 years to get in. So, but I never talked about it, never thought about it until a reporter from New York mentioned that, you got to kind of get in the stats that we're going to get you there.
Well, yeah, because I imagine too, we know, when a quarterback or a receiver's putting those numbers up, but it's offensive linemen too. It's the other thing is it's so difficult to track who's good and who's not. Like, what was that like when you were kind of getting into the league and you talked about moving positions around a little bit? When we were fully established, like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to be a really good player in this league.
Well, thing is, I always knew I was a good player, and I think that's what separates the greats from the guys that just are okay players. That somewhere in them and in their hearts, they know that they're a great player. It's just a matter of whether you're in the right system or you whatever thing chips fall your way. But I had the arrogance when I was in college, when we were losing games all the time at LSU, that like I'm the best player in the stadium, and all 20,000 LSU fans are there to watch me play because we weren't putting 60,000 in the stands at the time. But I did. I played with the mentality that they were all there to watch me play center, which I know that's not the case. But when you have that mentality, it just makes you play at a different level. And that's the way I thought the entire time I was in the NFL.
Last one. When this weekend, when this happened for you back in 2019, what was that weekend like? Because, we talked yesterday and we talked with Morton Anderson. He said he didn't remember a whole lot about it because it's just such a blur. What was that like, and what does it mean now to come back?
And I will echo what Mort said, and we've shared this with Drew, so I know Drew and Brittany and even talking to Larry Fitzgerald and those guys. So, man, just enjoy it. You're not going to remember it. For them, every day is like your wedding day because everybody's in your face, and you go from one event to the next. You don't even get a chance to breathe. And then you go home and you pinch yourself like, did that just happen? So everybody's encourages the guy to come back the next year because then you can sit in a hotel in the lobby and see all this happening and be like, this is what it's all about. And even now, I get chicken skins, goosebumps thinking about my time. But even here, I sit in the hotel lobby and I point out guys that I looked up to as a player, Anthony Munoz, but I'm sitting there, Carl Eller, Bobby Bell, who's been to every Hall of Fame for the last 50 years, some years since he got in, and how important it is. And then I see these other, and I'm looking at my wife. It's like, ooh, that's so-and-so. When that's so-and-so, I'm getting excited about it. And then she finally goes, you're one of them, right? I'm like, but when you love the game and you're around the greatness, like Willie Roaf sitting right across from us right now. I remember him coming out of La Tech going to the Saints, and him and I, Big Kev, what's up, man? But you become friends with your heroes, man. It's unbelievable, and nobody looks down on anybody else, man, because a gold jacket's a gold jacket. There's only 187 of us, and there's only 350 or whatever number of guys that ever have the opportunity whose bus is sitting in that room up the hill.
Kevin, man, we greatly appreciate the time, and I just wanted to share this. You've always been gracious with us, whether it's talking about Louisiana Line Camp or just talking about your career. And my wife still remembers your speech at the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame induction weekend, and you made her cry. And she was just moved by that. And your story is an amazing story, and we greatly appreciate you making the time, and enjoy your weekend, brother.
No, man, this is the greatest weekend of football ever, and I'm urging people back in South Louisiana, if you ever have an opportunity to get away in the first week of August, come to Canton, Ohio. If you're a football fan, this is Mecca for football, and you will not be disappointed. And I love this place.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, guys. Y'all be blessed. Good luck to all the Who-Dats, and let's go Tigers, man. Looking for a great year from them guys, so it's going to be awesome.
There we go. There we go.
Right.
We got to take a timeout here on the Gold Standard. More to come live from Fan Fest here at Pro Football Hall of Fame induction weekend in Canton, Ohio. Brought to you by Beal & Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we got to go fast now.
The Houston Astros bounced back with a 3-2 win last night over the Los Angeles Angels. In his Major League debut, Ethan Pecco gave the Astros 3 2/3 innings on the mound, giving up 2 runs with 3 walks and 4 strikeouts. Game 3 between the Astros and the Angels will be tonight at 7:10 p.m. at Dyken Park, and you can listen to it right here on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. Week 2 of the NFL preseason begins tonight with 2 games taking place. At 7 p.m., the Oakland Raiders travel to Houston to take on the Texans. The Raiders are favored by 1.5, and kickoff is at 7 p.m. Then in the late kick, it's an all-California matchup between the visiting San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Chargers. San Francisco is a 1.5-point favorite, and kickoff is at 9 p.m. tonight in L.A. The BMW Championship begins play today from Belle Reve Country Club in St. Louis, Missouri. The tournament is the second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs, and at the conclusion of the event, the top 30 in the FedEx Cup standings will move on to East Lake Golf Club in Atlanta for the Tour Championship next weekend. Once again, Scotty Scheffler is the betting favorite at plus 310, and he'll tee off at 1:33 Central Time. The Louisiana judge has granted former LSU Tiger Jack Pyburn and 15 other players a temporary restraining order against the NCAA, allowing them to return to school and seek another year of college eligibility. The players' argument is that they're being denied the same opportunity given to future athletes under the NCAA's new eligibility rules. I'm Blake Purser, and you're listening to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, your home for the LSU Tigers and the Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Road coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
Imagine a place where wellness, luxury, and community come together. Welcome to City Club at River Ranch, Acadiana's premier private club. Enjoy a state-of-the-art fitness center, exceptional tennis and pickleball programs, resort-style amenities, and a vibrant social atmosphere. Whether you're pursuing your fitness goals or expanding your social circle, City Club offers an unmatched member experience. Visit cityclubatriverranch.com today. City Club at River Ranch, where lifestyle meets distinction.
Ready to transform your backyard into the summer paradise you've always dreamed of? With Duplessis Builders custom gunite pool packages, we make it simple to own a stunning, long-lasting, in-ground pool built just for you. Choose from classic designs, all customizable to fit your space, style, and budget. Our pools come with quality finishes, energy-efficient equipment, beautiful lighting, and professional installation from excavation to decking, so you can dive in before the next heat wave hits. Don't just dream it, build it. Visit DuplessisBuilders.net.
And now time for the Expert Minute, brought to you by Sugarland Exterminating.
Ever wonder why bugs seem to love your home as much as you do? One big reason: moisture. Roaches, termites, and ants are drawn to damp areas. Check under sinks, around windows, and in attics for leaks and excess moisture. A little home maintenance goes a long way in keeping pests out. Got unwanted guests? Call Sugarland Exterminating at 337-367-1414 or visit sugarlandexterminating.com for more information.
Sugarland Exterminating. Pest-free environment we're creating. Spiders, roaches, rats, and mice. Those awful termites are not so nice. Get rid of all your pests right now. Call Sugarland Exterminating.
Termites, they're here. They're invasive. They can destroy your home if left untreated. Sugarland Exterminating has been in business for over 50 years, and they have the experience to effectively treat termites. Call 367-1414 or visit sugarlandexterminating.com.
And that has been your Expert Minute, brought to you by Sugarland Exterminating.
BB's Auto Sales has been serving Acadiana since 1966. Cleanest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Need financing? No problem. BB's offers easy financing for all credit types, including in-house financing. Plus, they're paying top dollar for your trade. Voted top 3 dealership in Community Choice Awards 2 years in a row. Visit BB's Auto Sales, 2 convenient locations off Johnston Street and in Abbeville. BB'sAutoSales.com. Cleanest cars in Acadiana.
Breeze fires, touchdown! And Drew Brees ties an NFL record with his 7th touchdown pass today.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame is where the best of the best are forever enshrined. Number 9 will now join them. Congrats, Drew. This is the gold standard, presented by Beal and Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers.
We are back as we wind down hour number 1, but remember, not only do we have 2 hours today, it's a special edition of the show. We have 3 hours for you live from Canton, Ohio, and we now have our next guest of the day. He's the author of the book, Just Give Me a Chance to Fail, The Life of NFL Hall of Fame linebacker Sam Mills, who, of course, has so many Saints and Panthers connections, so a big week for him and for that story. And so with us, Paul Domowitch, who wrote that book. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I understand, too, and for those who aren't out here at FanFest, there was a book signing for this book that was before us. It was originally going to be sharing a space with us, and eventually they got things switched out. But how did the book signing go? What was it like? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people, plenty of people who would be interested in this type of book were here, so I'm sure that was cool.
I was pretty happy with I did it yesterday for an hour and about an hour and a half today, and a pretty steady stream of Panthers and Saints fans who love to read about Sam.
What prompted it, right? Obviously, Sam has a great story, and I imagine a lot of that's in the book, but what prompted you to dig so far into it?
Well, I mean, I knew Sam. I met him back in '83 when I covered the Philadelphia Stars when he was starting out in pro ball. When I left the newspaper business in late 2021 and decided I wanted to write books, Sam was the obvious choice for the first book. I mean, he's such an inspirational guy. I mean, his underdog story is incredible. Just everything, including making the Hall of Fame in his last year of modern eligibility in 2022. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me, and I'm really proud of it. I mean, I knew Sam. He was a great guy. Proud to have known him, and everybody I talked to for the book couldn't say enough about him. I mean, there weren't very many negative comments about him from the people I interviewed.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to ask, not having the chance to talk to him, I guess, once the book was going. I'm sure you relied on the conversations you had and then also people around him. What was it like to hear all these different accounts and kind of piece this thing together?
It was great. I mean, I knew a lot of the people that I interviewed from either, with the Stars or from covering the NFL. I mean, Jim Mora, Vic Fangio, Dom Capers, you go down the list. A lot of people had passed away, including Sam. But I mean, his family was great. They were very forthcoming and terrific talking about him. Went back and did, I mean, this is a story about his life. So, I mean, I went back to his roots in Long Branch, New Jersey, talked to coaches, teammates. It was an experience. I mean, I've only had written one book before, and that was the co-authored a memoir for a former Eagle executive. And it was really fulfilling to just kind of put into a book and, everything I've learned about him from all the interviews I did. he was a fascinating guy, and it was long overdue for his story to be told.
Any Saints fans give you a hard time about him being in a Panthers uniform on the cover?
Not as many as I would have expected. And I just want to say it has nothing to do with anything but the fact that the publisher loved the picture of him. There's plenty of pictures of him in a Saints uniform in the book. And there's plenty of chapters about his 9 years with the Saints. So, I hope Saints fans will enjoy the book.
Paul, I want to ask you, he was known, and you mentioned it in your book, that he was too small to play in the NFL. He was considered to be too small to play big-time college football as well. He played at a D3 school where he was a monster, but he gets his chance like a lot of guys in that era in the early 80s with the USFL, and his future Saints head coach also came from there as well. How much did that path of having to go to a D3 program and then having to go into the USFL, how much did that kind of shape him as a competitor and as a man?
Yeah, it's the essence of the title of the book, Just Give Me a Chance to Fail. It's what he used to tell his brother when everybody would dismiss him for being too short, that all he wanted was a fair chance to succeed. If he didn't play well and he failed, that's fine. He could live with that, which is why when I go in, there's a chapter on him being signed by Cleveland out of Montclair after he went undrafted, and he had a great camp. Should have made that team if he were 3 inches taller. They wouldn't have even questioned him. He would have made the roster and started his pro career with the Cleveland Browns. Marty Schottenheimer just couldn't get over the fact that he was Marty was the defensive coordinator, and he couldn't get past 5'9". But Sam used that. He just like a lot of guys. Steve Smith is another example. Guys who are who are dismissed like that for either being too small, too light, too whatever. They use it as fuel, and he did. He was never bitter about it. He understood where they were coming from. In fact, when he went to Montclair, there's some comments in the book from Sam from when I talked to him way back when, where he didn't know if he was good enough to play Division I ball. So he was he was happy to go to Montclair and prove himself. He turned out to be one of the greatest Division III linebackers that ever strolled the earth. But it still didn't matter to the NFL. They pretty much wouldn't believe their eyes. It took, the USFL, if the USFL doesn't come about, he never gets a chance to play pro ball. He becomes a high school coach, a high school teacher, and he would have been really good at that. But, the USFL was a lifeline. Jim Mora, who wanted to cut him when he was with the Stars. Said, they'll laugh at us if we play a 5'9" linebacker. He was, fortunately, Vince Tobin, who was the defensive coordinator for Jim, said, hey, you want to do that, go ahead, but you're cutting your best defensive player. And Jim finally realized he was right, and the rest is kind of history. But even when he got to the Saints, when they signed him out of the USFL, and Jim's already down there getting ready to coach his first year, Jim wasn't sure he would. He couldn't tell Jim Finks that he would be anything more than a pretty good player. He couldn't tell him he was going to be what he became down there because he just didn't know. He didn't know how 3 years in a spring league translated to the NFL, and he quickly found out.
We got about a minute left. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler for the Saints, part of the Dome Patrol, and then he makes his way to Carolina, and he gets an opportunity to extend his career. How fundamental was he in those early Panthers teams? Because obviously they looked at him as that's the veteran guy that's going to come in and help set the tone for us.
Yeah, well, 6 months after he retired, they built a statue of him. So that pretty much, they were very, you don't see this with too many expansion teams. They thought an old guy like him could teach the young guys, and that's exactly what he did there. They went to the NFC Championship game in their second year.
It's an incredible story. I look forward. I haven't had a chance to get to it yet, but I'm surely going to read it now. So thank you, Paul, for doing this. Thank you for talking to us, and best of luck with the book. And,
thanks for having me.
See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, guys.
Paul Domowitch, the author. We told you about the book. You can check. Well, actually, where can people find it too before you go?
They can find it pretty much anywhere on Amazon,
Perfect.
Barnes and Noble. They can order it on Barnes and Noble or get it in their bookstores. Pretty much anywhere there's a bookstore will have it.
There you have it. We will. We've got a little bit of time left here. We thank Paul for coming by. We, as we mentioned, 3-hour show. So we're used to having 2 hours. Today it's 3. So we've got a lot coming up. We've got Hall of Famers stopping by. We still have left the list open. We've got a couple things going on. It's been a wild day so far. We've got a ton more to get to. So it is the gold standard. We want to thank our friends over at Beal & Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers. You've heard about them before on our station. Of course, they're our studio sponsor back home, but they are great. If you're in need of anything, reach out to Beal & Hebert, Acadiana's hometown lawyers. They've got you covered, and we thank them greatly for sponsoring us to be here in Canton, to be putting this show on. Couldn't have done it without them, so we are incredibly grateful for them. So, all right, we'll do this. We'll take our first end-of-the-hour break now.
Back to D-Loh in the present day here. Thank you to Paul Domowitch for sitting down with us. Incredible story there, and really, really fascinating the way that book came together on the life of Sam Mills, a great that we certainly lost too soon. So that is it for the kind of hybrid best of portion of this show. We will come back. We do have some time left in the show, a little bit, so we'll come back. James and I are here in the Beal & Hebert studios in Upper Lafayette, so we'll take a look at some happenings in the world of sports today, and we'll get you set up for tomorrow's show. We got a great show lined up tomorrow, by the way. We're going to get back to Preview 32. We're going to get back to some great interviews, some great content. So a normal edition of the show from 1 to 3 tomorrow. We'll take a break now. We'll get you set up for that. After this, it's the LohDown.
This is the LohDown with D-Loh, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
With storm season in full swing, ESPN 103.7 Lafayette, 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana sports station, and Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley bring you these hurricane safety tips. Make sure to secure your home and bring in outdoor items before the storm makes landfall. Have an emergency kit stocked with water, food, and medications. Know your evacuation routes and listen to local authorities. Stay informed with the battery-powered radio. Make sure you have fresh batteries. Remember, safety is in your hands. These hurricane preparedness tips are powered by Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley, your local Generac dealer. Visit midsouthpowersolutions.com.
Delta Media is your home for Friday Night Football. STM on ESPN 103.7, North Vermilion on 106.3 Lafayette, Catholic High of New Iberia on Mustang 107.1 FM, St. Landry Parish Game of the Week on Z105.9, LRCA on News Talk 98.5 FM, and Barb on ESPN 104.1. Listen to the games on the radio or on each station's free mobile app. Delta Media has you covered for thrilling Friday Night Football.
The best businesses aren't just businesses, they're neighbors. Here's a message from a proud certified South Louisiana business.
Bro Bridge Truck Stop Casino. They have the newest games around. Hot seat drawings and monthly specials like no one else. Located on the Bro Bridge Highway and on the banks of the Vermilion River. Come out today and try your luck at the Bro Bridge Truck Stop Casino.
When you support local businesses, you strengthen the communities we call home. Shop local, support local, certified South Louisiana.
Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer, no chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3-gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler or even single-serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then contact us tab or 337-519-3563.
And now time for the Expert Minute, brought to you by Sugarland Exterminating.
Ever wonder why bugs seem to love your home as much as you do? One big reason: moisture. Roaches, termites, and ants are drawn to damp areas. Check under sinks, around windows, and in attics for leaks and excess moisture. A little home maintenance goes a long way in keeping pests out. Got unwanted guests? Call Sugarland Exterminating at 337-367-1414 or visit sugarlandexterminating.com for more information.
Sugarland Exterminating. Pest-free environment we're creating. Spiders, roaches, rats, and mice. Those awful termites are not so nice. Get rid of all your pests right now. Call Sugarland Exterminating.
Termites, they're here. They're invasive. They can destroy your home if left untreated. Sugarland Exterminating has been in business for over 50 years, and they have the experience to effectively treat termites. Call 367-1414 or visit sugarlandexterminating.com.
And that has been your Expert Minute, brought to you by Sugarland Exterminating.
When strength matters, go to apfabllp.com. Precision built to last, from heavy-duty aluminum structural welding using TIG, MIG, and stick to custom metal fabrication designed exactly for your project. Need safety inspections, weld analysis, or 24-hour metal repairs? Trust A&P to get the job done. For quality craftsmanship and dependable service, visit apfabllp.com. That's apfabllp.com. A&P Fabrication and Construction. Built strong, built right.
You're listening to the 2026 LAB Award winner for Radio Young Professional of the Year, Dawson Iserloh, the host of the LohDown with D-Loh on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
All right, we're back here on the LohDown, and I started the show off. We talked a little earlier about the Jack Pyburn situation with LSU and how weird this is, that he is technically playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now, but kind of has this 5th year of eligibility, and so there's a path potentially to him exploring a way to get back on the LSU roster. Just crazy stuff. Well, I've got another one of those stories. This one may be a little bit more straightforward. Another player that's impacted in these rulings and such of that nature is Lee Amadei. Raging Cajun first baseman, fan favorite. Lee had an unbelievable career. And I know a lot of Cajuns fans, with all the excitement about who they brought back and all these, transfers they got in, was like, this is going to be awesome. Well, it appears that Lee Amadei has also gained eligibility and has also declared his intentions to run it back for the Cajuns. Now, I will say this. There's a long way between now and baseball season. That's good and bad, right? The good is that Coach Deggs and company's not like rushing through trying to get paperwork figured out the way that if LSU wants to get Pyburn on the field at some point, they are rushing through all that stuff, right? Because they play a game against Clemson in Check's notes 2 weeks and 2 days. There's a whole lot of time before UL baseball is going to get their season started. As my watch is talking to me when I don't want it to. I was wondering what that was. But anyway, so there's a real chance that Lee Amadei's back. And I mean, he posted on Twitter. He said run it back. And so as of now, they're planning for him to be back. I don't know if him being eligible now means he's also going to be eligible in the spring, because as we know with these lawsuits and all this eligibility stuff, a whole lot can change. But Lee Amadei being back in the fold for the Cajuns baseball team could be a potentially really, really significant development for what already looked like a pretty loaded roster, right? We've been talking about that Cajuns baseball team with excitement since the season ended. You bring Amadei, a captain, a leader, and a contributor in a big way back into the fold, and all of a sudden you start to feel even better about what you could have in store. So I would just say wait and see. I am as excited as anybody about all these things, right? But also we got to get some stuff figured out. And as I've said before, I think it's a little bit silly, all these different players that are gaining eligibility back. I don't know enough about Lee's specific case to give thoughts one way or the other. It's great for the Cajuns. Just like if LSU gets Jack Pyburn back somehow, it's great for them. And you go, all right, well, we'll figure out the morality of it and everything else like that, I guess, at a later date. I don't know what to make of it. I had zero expectation that Lee Amadei was ever going to play another baseball game for the Cajuns, and now apparently that might change. Same with Jack Pyburn playing football. So just another one for you on a Thursday. You never quite know what's going to pop up, but that is the case. All right, this was a little bit of a unique edition of the show, as I mentioned, so thank you for tuning in. Played back some of my favorite interviews from an unbelievable week in Canton, Ohio. Thank you to Chris Berman, Willie Rofe, Kevin Mawai, Paul Domowitch, James Mesh, RP3, everybody involved. It was a tremendous time. We will be back on tomorrow. Normal show, 1 to 3, all here in the studio, all normal. We've got Mia O'Brien talking Jacksonville Jaguars for Preview 32. We've got Alex Clancy talking Arizona Cardinals, so we'll knock 2 more off the list. And our buddy Chasten Tavares returns. It's only a week and 2 days, and Chasten tells me he's at a lake somewhere having some time off, but he said, I'll hop on the phone with you for a few minutes anyway. So shout out to him for that. He's scheduled to come on as well. Up next, though, for now, is AFR.
Are your pipes giving you problems? Is that leaky faucet driving you crazy? Don't wait for a plumbing disaster. Call the experts at Ace Plumbing, your trusted local plumbers for